Hey guys, it's Metro here. I've been asked a few times now how I get the perfectly round corners on some of my slingshots. As you can see, they feel like they are routered, but in fact they are not. They're hand carved that way for some of them. Some of them are routered, but I wanted to show you how I went about doing that because if you're going to be making slingshots out of wood or material, whatever, marking is a pretty important thing because you want to make sure that you're reaching your marks and sanding up to a certain point without just sort of going at it, because going at it without a plan, you end up making mistakes, or if that's your style, then I'm not going to stop you. But so let's talk about marking on wood. So typically if you're using light colored wood like this birch, it's really easy to use just a regular HB pencil, and then you can draw on whatever you want. It marks really easily, it erases, and you can draw it again and again and again. So it's pretty easy that way. This Cuda was made that way. I dropped it in this way and then drew a bunch of lines to mark off where to sand up to a point with some files and stuff. So that was that's how this was done. It's not done blindly, not done just by feel. I'm very careful as to where I mark things. So what happens if your wood is too dark and actually won't show pencil? So this is walnut, and if I draw on here, it's actually fairly hard to see a mark. So what you want to do is use a white pencil crayon, and you're able to see much better, and you can do that, and you can make your lines and that kind of stuff. And the way I do the marking on the outside edge to get that nice corner is actually I use a compass, not for the intended purpose of drawing circles, but to use it as a gap, kind of like a caliper, and I set my distance and I run it along the edge like so, and you get that nice consistent line across the way. So that happens when I use it on the edge of a slingshot like this. So if I run around the edge, you'll get a nice consistent like quarter or 3/16 edge. Then you know how far you need to file down to. So what happens when you want to use on metal? Well, this is a pretty common technique for anyone familiar with machining work. So what you can want to use is actually create something called layout fluid. Layout fluid typically is a bottle of blue fluid that you can either paint on or spray on. It's really fast drying, and it's nice, but at the same time, sometimes it's tough to find, and sometimes it's fairly expensive. So what I actually use is just a regular Sharpie marker, and I color on the surface of my aluminum or steel or whatever, and then create a nice solid black kind of layout fluid type surface for me to draw my radius onto. So I take my calipers, I set them to say for this one I want to do a let's see, like a 3 millimeter radius. So I set that on there, and then I run it along the line here, and then scratch it into the surface. And you can see that it's now that's etched in there. And you can make sure when you're sanding and filing is that now you have a guideline as to where to go. I actually go about doing this on the edges too, so that I can do that, so that my edge now is consistent. So it'll be like a nice corner radius to mimic a router table. You can actually do this freehand as well. So at this point right here, I don't want it to go straight off the edge, so I want it to actually taper off. So I'm just going to take my thing and just start draw it in by hand, kind of like that. So that's where I need to go, and that's where I need to shave my stuff off. So that's pretty much it. Marking's pretty important, but it's a nice preparation step. If you mess up, it's really easy. If you don't feel like that's big enough for something, you can just color right over it. That's the best part about it. And by the time you're going to be actually sanding and doing stuff like that, you're going to be wanting to sanding down to a regular surface anyway, so that tiny little scratch that you made on the edge won't even matter. So yeah, that's marking. All right, thanks for watching.